Welcome to Brian's CPA review. Today, we are going to cover property, plant, and equipment under ASPE 3061. Property, plant, and equipment are a company's physical or tangible long-term assets that typically have a life of more than 1 year. What is property, plant, and equipment? Property, plant, and equipment is tangible assets which produce revenue for business. It can be allocated over time through depreciation. The type of depreciation method depends on the type of property, plant, and equipment that a company chooses. Examples of property, plant, and equipment are buildings, machinery, land, office equipment, furniture, and vehicles. Recognizing property, plant, and equipment. To recognize property, plant, and equipment, all three criteria must be met. First, it has to be held for use in the production of supply of goods or services. This means that the property, plant, and equipment must be contained and used by the company to produce their goods. Second, it has to be acquired, constructed, developed with the intention of being used on a continuing basis. In other words, property, plant, and equipment is under possession with the intention of being used as business operates. Third, it is not intended for sale in the ordinary course of business. If the property, plant, and equipment is sold regularly and kept as more of an inventory, this is not met. Now to the measurement of property, plant, and equipment. Property, plant, and equipment is always measured at cost, and such costs include costs to acquire, construct, or develop, and any directly attributable costs, and also installation costs. Now let's consider an example. In downtown Toronto, there is a coffee shop named Jumpin' Beans. Jumpin' Beans Cafe just purchased a new coffee machine. The machine costed $4,000 with installation. Now we must consider the three criteria in order to recognize coffee machine under property, plant, and equipment. First criteria, it is held for use in the production of supply goods and services. So the coffee machine will be held to use in the production of coffees for sale. Therefore, the first criteria is met. Now to second criteria, the PPE must be acquired, constructed, developed with intention of being used on a continuing basis. The coffee machine was acquired with an intention to be used on a continuing basis as coffee shop business operates. Therefore, the second criteria is met. The third criteria is it is not intended for sale in the ordinary course of business. The coffee machine will not be intended for sale in the ordinary course of business. Coffee machine is intended for sale of coffees it creates. Therefore, the third criteria is met. The purchase of new coffee machine is recognized as property, plant, and equipment. The purchase price of $4,000 is to be recorded under property, plant, and equipment. Keep in mind that if at least one of three criteria are not met, It cannot be recognized as property, plant, and equipment, and it is therefore an inventory item. For subsequent measurement, any maintenance and repair related costs are expensed. For example, if extra parts are purchased to fix the machine, the cost should be expensed rather than capitalized. However, if costs are incurred to enhance the service potential of PPE, for example, increase in efficiency, lower operating cost, machine life is extended, it is considered a betterment, and the cost should be capitalized. PPE is subject to amortization. Amortization is recognized based on company's amortization method. Straight line amortization is cost minus salvage value over life of asset. We can now consider a scenario to solve a problem. A large processing factory in Ottawa buys potatoes from farmers and manufactures potato chips. The older potato chip packaging machine broke down, and the factory purchased a new packaging machine for $65,000. The useful life of a machine is 10 years with straight line depreciation with no residual value at the end of 10 years. After 3 years of machine usage, the factory decided to install additional feature to the machine for packaging at a faster rate. The factory spent $10,000 to upgrade the machine. To recognize property, plant, and equipment, all three criteria must be met. The first criteria is held for use in the production of supply of goods or services. The machine will be used in the production to turning potatoes into potato chips. Therefore, this criteria is met. The second criteria is acquired, constructed, developed with the intention of being used on a continuing basis. The packaging machine is acquired with the intention of being used to produce potato chips. It is being used on a continuing basis as factory business operates. Therefore, this criteria is met. The third criteria, it is not intended for sale in the ordinary course of business. The packaging machine will not be sold in the ordinary course of business. The machine is not an item that are sold ordinarily. Therefore, this criteria is met. Now that all three criteria are met, the purchase of packaging machine is recorded as property, plant, and equipment at cost. The factory is to record $65,000 as property, plant, and equipment under asset in the balance sheet. For amortization, the packaging machine cost is $65,000 with no residual value. So divide 65,000 by 10 years and it's 6,500 per year. Therefore, 3 years of amortization, the total accumulated amortization is 19,500. So the value of the packaging machine is now 45,500. This is to take 65,000 minus the accumulated depreciation amount of 19,500. Such upgrade increased the service potential, resulting in faster production. Therefore, the cost spent for upgrade should be capitalized. It increased the service potential, so the cost cannot be expensed. The factory is to debit property, plant, and equipment for $10,000. In summary, the three criteria must be met in order to recognize property, plant, and equipment. The property, plant, and equipment is subject to amortization. And lastly, when considered a betterment, the cost is always capitalized. This ends the conclusion on property, plant, and equipment. I hope this information is helpful, and feel free to message me if you have any questions. Have a great day.